Hello everybody, welcome back to C&S Corvettes in beautiful sunny Sarasota, Florida. It's your Corvette buddy Lyle, here to talk to you about more interesting, exciting, and hopefully helpful Corvette stuff. Today's topic, I'm probably going to get a lot of heat on, but it's something you all have asked for many, many times, so we're going to get into it. Which Corvettes would I avoid if I was looking to buy one today? So I get asked this question repeatedly by phone, on email, in person, and it's always one that I'm very, very careful about because, we're here to provide a service, to provide information, to help support the Corvette hobby, but we really don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, right? But there are certain things that are true about certain years of these cars that make them either less desirable to us as professionals or cars that we would rather see first-time Corvette owners avoid for numerous reasons. It's a general rule of thumb in the Corvette world that you don't buy the first year of any Corvette generation, okay? So starting with what we'll call the more modern cars, we'll leave the C1 and C2 cars off to the side. They're their own special case. The 68, the 84, the 97, the 05, the 14, and the 20. In theory, those are the ones you shouldn't buy. I will tell you from my personal experience, the three that I would say that holds true with are the 68, the 84, and the 05. We'll do the other ones in a second. The 68 had a ton of one-year only stuff, specifically that isn't easy to change. The push button door locks, the ignition in the dash, a whole bunch of other parts inside and outside the car that were 68 only. They're hard to locate, and the build quality in 68 was famously poor. In fact, Car and Driver magazine, when they were presented with a brand new 68 Corvette for testing that everybody was waiting to see and do, they handed the keys back to GM and said, "Yeah, give us a call when it's done." They wouldn't even test the car. So build quality was kind of spotty. 84 was a huge year for Corvette. I mean, it really moved into the modern area where it was going to be much more a focus on performance and handling and less of a GT cruiser. But there's a lot of stuff on the 84 that was 84 only. The ride was incredibly rough because they had tuned it for the track, not for the street. It also had the crossfire injection, which, while there are people out there in the world today who can still make an 82 or 84 crossfire injection engine run fantastic, they are few and far between, and man, good luck finding somebody within your neck of the woods or within 2 hours of your house that is that guy. So be forewarned on that. The 05 I've really been disappointed in the amount of problems it has caused its owners, especially over the last 10 years. A lot of one-year only stuff. Still had the four-speed transmission from the C5. Had that four-spoke steering wheel that was still too big for the car. And it has a ton of electrical gremlins that have cropped up, even more so just in 05 than the very closely related 6 and 2006, 2007. But the 05 is the one that, every time I pick up the phone with somebody with an electronics problem or the car's acting weird, 9 times out of 10, it's a 2005. So the 68, the 84, and the 05, if you are a first-time buyer, I would say those would be years to avoid. The 97 really didn't have any major issues. The only reason I'd say not to choose a 97 is because the ABS pump and the module are still located in the back of the car, and it was that way through mid-98. Also, starting in mid-98 and 99, you could get telescoping steering. You could get the heads-up display. There were other options that became available. So I would say, as those cars all basically cost pretty much the same, I would move to a 99 and avoid the 97 and get more for your money. The 2014 is not a bad car. And it didn't have many of the gremlins that we associate with cars like the 68 or the 05. But again, it is the first year, it's the oldest, and it's going to have the most age on it. We find that age is what really wears on the C7. The C8, the 2020s, whatever problems they had been resolved by now, if they're still on the road. So I would say also less worrisome buying a 2020, other than the fact that the prices and availability of the 24s and the 25s the availability's exploded and the price has come down, down, down to where for what somebody wants for a nice used 20, you're within a few $1,000s of a 2025 brand new. So that's the only reason I would avoid the 20, just because you can get better dollar per value buying the later car at this point. Certain things I'd avoid in specific generations. In the C4, 1984 to 88, I would avoid the 4+3 transmission. Now, I know there's people out there who love that transmission. This was a Doug Nash designed and built unit that was basically a manual 4-speed mated to a small 2-speed Power Glide automatic. It was these two things put together, and they had a button for overdrive. In the early years, it was on the console. Starting in 85, it was on the shifter knob. Again, it's not that it was a bad system, but it was complicated. And just like the Crossfire injection, finding someone who understands those systems and can make them work well is very difficult. They're few and far between. And if you find somebody, odds are they're going to not be anywhere near where you live. So you might want to, if you want a manual C4, definitely get one with the ZF. That has its own issues, but not nearly as many as the 4+3 car did. On the C6 and the C7, we need you to avoid things, specifically the leather-wrapped dash. Now, the leather-wrapped dash came with the C6 when you chose the 4LT option, and it was the 3LT or 3LZ option in the C7. So the only reason I say that is you're going to pay a lot more for those cars, or at least somewhat of a premium to get those cars. And those leather dashes are not surviving well once exposed to the sun. They are wrinkling, they are peeling, the leather's getting hard and shrinking, and there is no easy or inexpensive fix for that. That is going to be a problem for you that is going to cost a lot of money. Try to avoid cars equipped with that leather dash so you don't have to deal with that in the future. Beyond that, guys, that's pretty much the only ones I would say I am the least enthused about for a first-time Corvette owner. If you guys have owned those cars and had great experiences, put them in the comments below. If you have additional information or things you think first-time buyers should avoid, put them in the comments below. I appreciate you watching. Thank you so much. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Have a great day.